Yo, what's good? It's your boy Peak. We're back here with another video. What if Naruto was born before the Nine Tails attack? Now, this is not my writing, it's a fan fiction. I found it's really good actually. Like it a lot. And I hope you guys enjoy it too. It's really cool. It's a lit fanfic. So that's all I got to say. I hope you guys enjoy this new video. Excuse me, I appreciate all of you guys who've done a lot for the channel. I may not have a lot, but I'm grateful for what I have, and I just have to thank you guys for that. So thank you guys, and all I have to say is safe.
Shut up, I'm on the phone with Rodney.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Peak, and let's hop into the what if. Chapter 1, New Beginnings. Car-san. Kushina looked up quizzically from the dishes she was cleaning, looking around for the source of the call. Car-san. She looked around again, only this time a young boy slid into the kitchen, his bare feet slapping pointedly against the tiled floor. The tall red-haired woman chuckled at her son's antics before putting down the bowl she had been wiping. What is it, Naruto-chan? The small boy beamed up at his mother, his foxy smile practically glowing. Kushina smiled warmly at her son, bending down with some difficulty to gently stroke his whiskered cheeks. Tall-san is hiding again. Kushina chuckled, more loudly this time as she struggled to stand up straight again. Using the counter to pull herself up, Naruto just stared strangely at his mother, walking up to her and placing his small hand on her large round belly. Car-san, when is my immortal going to be finished cooking? Kushina just laughed again, somewhat regretting letting Minato explain to Naruto why she had been slowly getting larger in the past months. A few more weeks, Naruto, the redhead just laughed, already anticipating the fun he would be having with his sibling. How does she fit in there, Car-san? Car-san already has a fox in her tummy. Kushina sighed, another thing she regretted Naruto being told about. We'll tell you when you're older. Now come on, if Tosan is hiding, what do we do? Naruto groaned, her lack of explanation annoying him, but quickly covered it behind a beaming smile, letting his brow crinkle cutely in thought. We find him, but Tosan's using the Horizon. I think that's cheating. Kushina just raised an eyebrow as she looked around, using her senses to try and locate her wayward husband. Really? Well, I think you're right, Naruto-chan. That is cheating. Naruto just giggled as he knew what was coming next. Kushina quickly raised her arm and smiled down at her son. And cheaters need to be cool. Suddenly, a large golden chain shot out of the woman's palm, darting through the various rooms of the small two-story house the family lived in. It snaked about, coiling around the rooms until it sneaked up behind an unsuspecting blonde man in one of the upper rooms. Before Minato knew what was going on, he suddenly found himself completely ensnared by the same large glowing chain, completely immobilized as it carried him through the house. he came to a floating rest in front of his laughing son and amused wife. He tried to keep a stern face, but he couldn't stop his own smirk from breaking through. Now, Naruto, I didn't think you would bring your mother into this. It was supposed to be a fair game. This 6-year-old just shook his head furiously in the way only young children could. Nuh-uh. When I go to the academy, I'm going to be a shinobi, and a shinobi has to use every advantage to win. Minato just chuckled as his wife finally released him from her special chains, rubbing her wrists where they had been secured just a little too tightly. Well, at least you're right about that. He bent down and tousled his son's spiky red hair, the perfect mix between his own and Kushina's, annoying him appropriately. But what's even more than important than that, Naruto once again entered his adorable thinking pose that had literally had women drop their groceries so they could cry, "Kawaii!" Oh my days, I'm never doing that again. Teamwork and always sticking by your comrades. Minato just nodded with that same warm smile on his face as he patted his son's hair again, much to the boy's chagrin. Right. He stood up and giving a soft kiss to his wife as his son turned away in embarrassment of the loving action. "Ah, Teru-san, Kara-san, why do you have to do that around me?" Both parents just laughed as they stared at their son with bemusement. Kushina especially stared at the young boy critically, so like she had been when she was that age. In every other aspect, he was his father's son. She was just happy he had inherited the Uzumaki hair, or people would never believe he was her son. Now, Naruto-chan, one day you'll find a girl you like and you'll be doing the exact same things with her. She bent down again, this time helped by her husband, as she wrapped up her son in a hug. Then you can have your own family. Naruto just nodded wearily. His mother was always stressing the importance of family. Yeah, I just wish you didn't have to do that all the yucky stuff in between. Minato laughed at that as he helped Kushina up onto her feet again, enjoying his son's naivety and innocence. But Naruto, that's the best part. To prove the point, he quickly captured Kushina's lips in another searing kiss. Once again, Naruto, embarrassed and annoyed, he blushed and ran out of the room, yelling annoyances and various amusing things that only made the two adults chuckle. Minato turned back to his wife, or more specifically, the lump now, very proximately emerging from her shirt. "And how are my girls today?" Kushina just sighed as she leant back onto the counter, cupping her hands under her cumbersome bump. Very tired, although little Sukuro seems as restless as ever. I swear she's going to be worse than Naruto. Minato nearly blanched at that, but recovered well. It wouldn't do for Hokage to panic over a little thing like childbirth again. "Just a few more weeks, Kushi-chan." The woman just sighed and nodded as she returned to wiping up the bowl she had been working on. At least this time she knew what to expect, as opposed to during Naruto's birth, when she had practically assaulted her friend Mikoto for answers. Right, Minakun. Then we get to watch Naruto in his first days at the academy. The blonde smiled as he began walking out of the room. "Hey, where you going?" Minato just chuckled as he went searching for his elusive son. "I'm going to go train Naruto some more. It won't do for Namikaze or Uzumaki to be left behind in the academy." Kushina just smiled sweetly as she turned back around. She winced as she felt the baby kicking again, and rubbed her swollen stomach smoothingly. Just a few more weeks, Sakura. Just a few more weeks. 18 days later, Naruto stood in the middle of a clearing, a blindfold over his eyes, as he held a single kunai by its handle. Minato watched him with a smirk, as he slowly walked around his son, barely making a whisper with his feet. 6 kunai were scattered around the edge of the clearing, each bearing the same 3-pronged design, and the same sealing formula on the handle. Alright Naruto, you have to listen really carefully. Feel for the slightest disturbance, your reflexes will do the rest. The blindfolded boy just nodded as the muscles in his arms tensed in anticipation. He waited until he felt his father leave the clearing. Noting how the wind died down completely, he was left with an eerie calm. His ears twitched ever so slightly as he listened out for even the most minuscule changes in the environment, sorting out the animals from the more unnatural sounds. Finally, Naruto spun on one foot, pivoting at the same moment he flicked out his kunai, letting it sail perfectly, straight towards what he'd hoped was his target. He lifted up a corner of his blindfold to look at his father, holding the kunai he had thrown. With wide eyes, he stared, realizing it was a few inches from his father's throat. His father coughed as he pulled the blade away, blinking slightly at his son's unerring accuracy. It was on par with the Uchiha. That was good, Naruto. I think you have listened to your environment down. He looked down at the Shinken kunai again as he gulped, still a little startled that a kid, not even at the academy, had gotten so close to a vital spot. It was a good job he was the fastest man alive. He smiled a little, thinking that there was definitely no doubt that Naruto was his son. Although he did wish he had inherited blonde hair, he could only help for little Sakura. Your accuracy is on spot too. Naruto grinned broadly, jumping up and down in a little celebratory jig as his father chuckled. But that's no excuse to get complacent. Remember to always keep training, no matter what the circumstances are. If you aren't at your peak, then how are you supposed to protect your comrades? He knelt down, pulling his son up onto his shoulders, much to the little redhead's delight. Or your family. Naruto just nodded determinedly, fire in his eyes as he made an internal promise to never stop training and to always protect the people closest to him. Minato! The blonde spun unintentionally, making his son giggle as he was thrown about atop his shoulders. He watched as his wife came staggering out into the garden, clutching her stomach as she wheezed. Kushi-chan? Kushina just continued to pant before she groaned suddenly, her knees bending a little as she quickly went through her breathing exercises. She's coming, Minato. The man just blinked as he stood there, stock still, his mind shutting down. Thankfully, his son quickly knocked him on the head once, shocking him out of his daze. As he suddenly flashed across the field so fast, Naruto had to hold on or risk getting thrown off. Okay, we just need to call Biwako, right? Kushina just nodded quickly, between labored breaths, as Minato hurriedly looked around, carefully setting Naruto down on the ground before disappearing into thin air. He returned a few minutes later holding a flustered and slightly irritated Biwako. The woman took one look at the situation before gently placing a hand on Kushina's shoulder. Instantly, the woman relaxed as a calming chakra began to flow through her system, allowing her to fall limply into Minato's arms, with a lazy smile on her face. The blonde quickly began to carry his wife, an enormous smile on his face before a small voice interrupted him. Tall-san, what's going on? Minato froze and quickly rushed back to his son's side, making sure not to disturb Kushina too much. Don't worry about it, Naruto. Everything's fine. Just wait in the house. Naruto just nodded uncertainly as he looked between his smiling father and his now blissfully drugged mother. Just think of this, Naruto. By the time I come back tonight, he looked down at the large bump under his wife's clothing. You're going to have a little sister. Naruto smiled brightly at that, forgetting all the confusing things that had happened so far. Minato stood up, but not before tossing his son's hair, quickly making the way through the house as Naruto followed. The little redhead watched from a window as his father carried his mother away towards a safe house where she could give birth. For a moment he was confused that they weren't going to the hospital, but he didn't really understand all that much about where babies came from anyways. So he just shrugged. He looked around while grinning deviously. He had the house to himself for a few hours. Naruto was getting a little worried. He had finished training a few hours ago and had taken to just lazing around and raiding the fridge when he could. Now he was sitting by the window, looking out over the village as he waited for his parents to return. Return with his new sister. I'm sorry for background noise. And I'm feeling a bit sick. But yeah. Now he was sitting by the window looking out over the village as he waited for his parents to return with his new sister. He was excited as well. He was going to play with her loads and teach her lots of things like jutsu. As soon as he learned some, of course, he already had the substitution down. It was part of his father's speed training to see how many times he could substitute in a minute. Now though, it was getting late. It was well past his bedtime. Not that he would ever admit to needing one. However, his eyelids were growing heavy, yet he wanted to be awake. He was eagerly waiting for his new family to return home. Even so, his vision was getting a little cloudy, and the couch he was lying on was getting increasingly comfortable. He didn't think it would matter much if he just closed his eyes for a few minutes. He was sure he'd have plenty of time before his parents got back. And then it happened. He suddenly jolted up on the couch, his eyes darting back and forth in a panic as he listened to sounds of screaming and destruction. Skin prickling, heart racing, he rushed to the window only to see a sight that belonged in his childish nightmares. The village was burning, plumes of fire towards the sky, dwarfing familiar homes, thick black smoke smothering the thunderous clouds. Buildings lay in ruins, getting worse towards the edge of the village. And then he saw it. The enormous fox, its warped form growing madly near the center of the village, its 9 long tails thrashing and snapping out behind it, flattening buildings with single sweeps. For a moment, when time seemed to come to a halt, Naruto could have sworn the enormous creature looked straight into his eyes. The boy stumbled backwards from the window, the fox continuing to destroy more of the village. Naruto turned from the window, even as screams echoed, his hands clamping over his ears. He was alone. Where were his parents? He ran upstairs, his legs burning, his body shaking. He swallowed frightful breaths, wrenching his eyes shut, diving onto his parents' bed as he dug underneath the covers, snuggling tight into the gentle lingering warmth they left behind. Suddenly, surreally, His father appeared, looking around frantically. He called until he spotted Naruto, a lump in his bed. He quickly ran over, going down on one knee, as he looked straight into his son into the eyes. As he looked his son straight into the eyes. Naruto didn't know why he was wearing his Hokage coat. Naruto, I really need you to be brave right now. The redhead nodded quickly as he stifled in a sob, trying to pull himself into a more dignified position, as his father gave him a weak but warm smile. You need to come with me. There's something we have to do. Naruto nodded again, confused, but he could never turn down his father before on anything. Minato smiled again as he pulled his son into his arms, lifting him off the bed. Now I'm planning to leaving it there. I hope you guys enjoy it. But what will happen next? Well, I'm pretty sure you guys all know what will happen next. I'll be leaving a fanfic in the description. Thank you guys for listening to the What If. I mean, my story voice, I need to work on that a bit. But I hope you guys, just like and subscribe. I appreciate. And all I got to say is safe.